good morning. Thanks for joining us. We're excited that everybody was able to be a part of our second virtual town hall for Maestro. Just a few housekeeping notes as we get going here. If anybody's talking to us, you'll probably realize we can't hear you momentarily. Just to kind of keep everything rolling along, we've got everybody's microphones muted, but at certain points we'll open it up to questions. And you guys can always use the chat window to communicate with us as well, to ask any questions about specific things as we go. But we'll try to stop periodically and ask for questions and just make sure everybody's on the same page. And I know one of the questions we always get right up front is, will this be available later for the people that can't make it? Absolutely. We're recording this for prosperity, so when I mess up, everybody can laugh at me later. And we will get this kind of buttoned up, edited a little bit, and sent out next week with our newsletter. So again, excited to have everybody joining us. For those who don't recognize my voice, I'm Travis Brown. I'm the account manager and whatever all that it says there, some fancy title. I'm going to be joined today by Taylor Dewar, our project manager, and Ryan Hansen, one of our developers, who kind of make Maestro happen. So we're really excited to have everybody. Kind of just want to touch base about what this town hall thing is. So really, this is an opportunity for us to get our communities all in one virtual spot. We really, are a coast-to-coast platform here. We've even got both tips, I think, with all the way up in Maine and down in Southern California. So we really cover the country, and it's tough to get everybody in one spot. So these virtual town halls are a way for us to bring everybody together and just kind of tell you what we're up to, hear from you what's working, what's not, what you'd like to see done in the future, and just a way for us to stay connected, because we really enjoy hearing your Maestro stories. It's an absolute blast for us whenever we get to connect to our Maestro communities, just to hear how you're using the software and what it is about it that we can either make better or what's working great. So I guess this is going to be the first point where I stop and just ask somebody to put in the chat window and just make sure that you all can hear me all right. Okay, thank you, Holly. First one in, and now look, everybody's doing it. All right, we got a whole lot of participation. I love it. It's going to make today go really well. So again, we just kind of want to touch base. Again, if you've got questions, go ahead and utilize the chat window. We will be sending a survey out with this as well. We'd love to kind of get some feedback from you about the town hall specifically. And as we wrap up, something to be thinking about are some topics that you'd like to see us do a little bit deeper dive as we go forward. So with that said, we're going to talk today about Maestro, kind of where we are, how we got here. I know we've got some people on the line that have been with us for a while, and some people that are newer to Maestro. And so we kind of want to just give you a little bit of an overview of what's going on, how we've gotten to this point, what we kind of look like today. Then we're going to talk about some new Maestro tools. Some of you will probably have some things that you didn't know we had. Others, these have been there since day one because you just signed up. We're going to talk about our referral program and some other different ways that we've got some programs to kind of help you guys out in the field. And then we want to wrap up with some live Q&A, which is always one of the most important parts for us, just to answer your questions and hear from you how this is working. So we'll dive on in and just kind of look at what Maestro looks like today. For those who don't know, we launched back at the National Main Street Conference, and I'm an old school Main Streeter, so I always say National Main Streets. I still can't get my head around this now concept, but we started in 2016 And as you can see, we've really grown pretty quickly here to have over 700 users in those 3 years. And we're really on track to be over 1,000 here by the end of this year. So we're really, really excited about that. As we continue to get out, get into the field, go to some of those conferences, and just connect with Main Street communities and downtowns across the country, we find that there's a whole lot of sharing that goes on, and people tell other people. And I know Taylor's going to talk about that a little later, but it's something that we're really proud of, at how organically we've been able to grow this thing, because Main Street is a very grassroots effort, and it's great to see our software kind of growing in that same manner. Again, we started out as a database that was pretty well connected of contacts, businesses, properties, and work plans. When we first launched this software, it was really all about work plans. That's what the biggest pain point we were solving, we thought, was. We quickly discovered that this can do a lot more for communities, and so we kind of not turned on a dime, but started adding more and more features. Our property section has gotten really, really robust, and then reporting became kind of an entity unto itself. And really, from what we thought was going to be a really well-connected database and some work plan builders, quickly kind of took over to become a really, inclusive, integrated data solution for organizations. One thing that our developers don't brag about, but I try to every time I get an opportunity, is to talk about our uptime. We really understand that you guys don't work normal office hours. I've sat in your chairs. I understand that, a 9 to 5 is the weekend for you guys if you're lucky. We need to be available whenever you're working. And if that means 2 in the morning, if that means 6 o'clock on a Sunday night, we've got to be there for you. And we've got an above a 99% uptime. Even when we push updates, you might have to do a refresh to get the new updates, but your system doesn't go offline. And that's something that we're really proud of. The developers always look at me like I'm going to jinx something when I talk about this. Ryan's probably throwing daggers at me at the moment, but it's really something that we take a lot of pride in, to make sure that we're there when you guys need us. And again, that's because we're committed to your success. This is a project for us that grew out of a passion of downtowns. We love being a part of so many communities and being able to be a tool that helps so many communities. And so we succeed when you succeed in the communities. And so we want to be able to be responsive and to be able to build in directions that help what you're doing, and to add new tools, new features, and just be a resource to help all of our Maestro communities be successful. That's really what we're about, and why we're thrilled to see the kind of growth that we've seen over the last little bit over 2 years now. So with that, I will have him take the daggers out of his hand that he was throwing at me and turn things over to Ryan.
Good morning, everybody. So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the new tools in our latest build for Maestro and how they can help you do your job better. First one I want to talk about is advanced search. We have updated the interface, but besides that, we've also given the performance a significant boost. You'll notice that your searches are running much faster. Because they're running so much faster, we're able to add instant results. So as you're adding parameters to narrow down your search, you'll start seeing the results on the right side of the screen. With this, you can do something like find all of your new contacts that have volunteered more than 1 hour and own more than one property super quick. You can really narrow it down to exactly what you're looking for. Along with advanced search, we've also improved the performance on reporting. It now runs in a fraction of the time it used to take. So we hope that that helps you spend less time doing your reporting each month. I know that that's never fun. Another major change you'll notice is importers. We've rebuilt the interface from the ground up. We've added a lot more visibility into what's going on when you're importing data. There's now a results screen where you can see what's been imported and any errors that might have happened while it's importing, so you can get those fixed and you aren't just missing data. You're also going to want to check out our new import templates. We've added a lot of new fields that you can import from. We have a tutorial video on all that you can watch for more information. I think that it'll really speed up getting your data into the system if you haven't already done it. Staff versus volunteer hours is something that had been requested. You can now mark a user as a staff user, and their volunteer hours don't count as into your volunteer hour statistics. They're in a separate bucket. Helps with accuracy on your reports. We've added some new notifications as well. You can now get an email notification when you have tasks that are due soon or are already overdue. Help you stay on top of things. You can also get an email notification when you have messages that are unread. Make sure you're staying in contact with all of your other Maestro users. Another thing that we've had requests for is a calendar widget. So we've added that to our dashboards. You can go in and add that, and you'll have a calendar right there in Maestro. You won't even have to leave to check what next weekend's going to be.
And I just kind of want to piggyback on some of what Ryan was saying, especially since I see some of our, we'll just say, seniored Maestro communities here, the ones that have been with us for a while. A couple of these bullet points are really important to make sure that your users that have been in the system a while are aware of. One of those is the staff versus volunteer distinction. Certainly, staff members, it's pretty easy to go in and check that box. Volunteers, obviously, it kind of defaults. But the new notifications that Ryan was talking about are really important because as you assign, and I think most of the people on here today are staff members, as you're assigning tasks, whether it's to other staff members or whether it's to volunteers in your organization, those notifications for, oh yeah, this is coming due, rather than, oops, it's already past due, can be really, really helpful. And so making sure that you're kind of coordinating with them to get those notifications on. Obviously, they don't want to get bombarded, and every time you change something, they get an update. We kind of have some ability to filter out some of those things through the notification panel. But I would encourage you to have them get those notifications for not just when a task is assigned to them, but as that task draws closer, just to, again, keep things running smoothly within your work plans and to keep you from having to play catch up later and be the guy on the phone or the gal on the phone calling to make sure that these things are getting done. Those little email notifications have, for the communities that we've talked to that are really using those, they've been a real time saver, just because it's not eating up staff time to go follow up on those tasks. Again, the other big one here is importers, especially for our established communities. If you come across an old file and you see that, you now have, 2009's data for your festival, especially if you've got email addresses, it is super easy to upload that information and just have it add that involvement without writing over all of the data that's in there. I know that's been a concern. Obviously, if that business has a new address, you'll want to make sure that it doesn't overwrite that address. And you do that by either ignoring that column on an import or just deleting those old addresses before you try to import, so that it's not trying to overwrite anything. But especially as you're getting those older files, to be able to add those involvements and the year and a note through an import instead of a manual process is saving just countless hours of time for Maestro communities. And certainly as we're helping folks with our data specialists, they're telling us again how much that is impacting them. And then with all of our features, we've tried to do tutorials, but if you have help or need help, I should say, with a specific task or anything within Maestro, please reach out to us. You know, we're here. Uh, you know, our office is always available pretty much 8 to 5 Central Time, Monday through Friday. But again, if you email us, you'd be surprised how quick you get a response. I'm not going to say that I'm going to respond at 3 in the morning, but I have been known to respond at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. You know, we want to make sure, again, that we're available to help when you need us. And so if you've got questions or need assistance, let us or our data specialists be there to assist you. I know we'll probably get into some more question and answer stuff with this, but in the interest of keeping everybody's schedule intact, we'll go ahead and bring on the lady of the day, Taylor, who's going to talk a little bit about the referral program and just kind of how you guys can help us get more people into our Maestro community.
Good morning, everyone. As Travis said, you know, Maestro has grown so much because of communities like you. Some of you know, some of you may not know, we do offer a Maestro referral program. So we know you're involved in various Facebook, other community groups. Spread your testimonials to those people, your peers in your same positions, and we hope you like Maestro, you know, just a little bit if you're here. So, you know, spread that love, the Maestro word out to your peers, and it will literally pay off. You know, if you and your the new sign up, if they mention, you know, that you referred them, you both are eligible for a $25 Visa gift card, so it does pay off a little bit there. So there's a section when the new community signs up in the form where they can mention you that, you know, you referred them to Maestro, so it's a good deal going on there. We actually just sent off 2 Visa gift cards yesterday in the mail to Larissa and Jessica, so this is a great program, and we're happy to have this referral program to spread some Maestro love and share with those peers.
Thanks, Taylor. And again, this all came because of how much you guys are telling your peers about this. We wanted a way to kind of say thank you for helping us grow this software. And again, that first bullet point there, obviously those private groups are not meant for us to be in, and I know you don't want a bunch of vendors pumping in things, but if you see an opportunity, make sure you give us a little shout out. We love those referrals and those opportunities to even just connect to another community and give them a demo. Even if you've got somebody that's on the fence or a new director, if you can send somebody our way that, you know, eventually becomes a Maestro customer, we're going to make sure that you both get a little reward, but we want to be a resource to as many communities as we can. And so if you see an opportunity, somebody's asking a question and you think Maestro's been a solution for you, please don't hesitate to throw us out there. Send people our way, because we are always excited to talk to new communities and to welcome them in. And it's great for us when we get to send one of our communities that's been using the software that gift card too, and just kind of at least get them lunch on us. So please send people our way. If you'd like to send a testimonial, like we've got a website page that's all about testimonials, and we would be thrilled to include yours along with all of those. So if you're just like hair on fire in love with Maestro, please send us a testimonial. If you want to get creative and do video testimonials, we're not going to stop you. I promise we will not stop you. So again, we know we hear a lot of this really helped me type of stuff, and that helps us know what directions to build in. That helps us know how we can be a resource to everyone out in what we call the field, but not in our office, how we can help folks. So I am going to be brave here and unmute everybody's mics. If we start to get a lot of feedback, we'll do it the old-fashioned way and do the chat window. So if anybody's got their speakers right next to their phone, you might want to move them now before we unmute all the mics. But we will just stop here and see if anybody's got any questions. If anybody's stage fright or has some stage fright and doesn't want to, you can always use the chat window as well. And just like that, we're back to the chat window. So does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? This can be about anything Maestro related. Honestly, we've got a pretty good group of folks here from downtown communities, so this doesn't have to be just Maestro. We want, you know, to utilize the resources in the room, so to speak. So if you've got an issue facing your downtown that you want some insight on, throw it out there. We're happy to help. I'm going to try one more time to unmute everybody's mics just in case. Nope, that didn't go well. All right. Nobody's got any questions. Everybody's just running on steam this morning, huh?
I think we just appreciate what you shared.
Well, terrific. There's a couple that are typing, so that's great. We'll kind of hang out and wait. Again, something to be thinking about, and I'm going to ask before we're done, are those deeper dive topics. We are really looking for the third quarter especially, but the third and fourth quarters, when we do these town halls, we want to get kind of out of Maestro a little bit and do a topic that is relevant to as many downtowns. The bane of my existence was always parking, because we didn't have a parking problem, but everybody thought we did, and I know most of you are in that boat. But whether it's parking, whether it is property management, whether it's business recruitment, we want to kind of spend at least 20 or 30 minutes talking about a specific topic, and we're trying to get some feedback now, because we'd like to go out and find an expert outside of our office to kind of bring into that fold and just kind of bounce some ideas off of and have them participate in this. So if you've got a topic or topics that would be important or relevant to you, please let us know. I know Tracy's still typing, so take all the time you need. Anybody else? Okay, Tracy's question. It says, I have a situation where people will ask for contacts. Is there a way to send a snapshot of businesses, including contact info, almost like a screenshot? For a specific business, I would say a screenshot's honestly probably your best bet. If they're looking for multiple businesses, this is where that advanced search comes in, because you can actually export whether it's one business, whether it is every business in your database, or somewhere in between there. You can actually export that, and it will give them all of the information. And so I believe that I am completely incorrect, and my developer is going to chime in and tell us exactly how wrong I am, which is fine. So Ryan, take it away.
Sure. So if you want to send somebody a business's information, if you go to the business screen and print it, we actually have it set up so that when it prints out, it's friendly to read, it's black and white, all the sections are lined up nice and even, and I think that that's probably the best way to share all of that pertinent information with a colleague.
And that is why we have the developers in the room, because they know far more than I do about this stuff. And then Judy's got a question. And Judy, this is something that is on our list. Her question is pertaining to the closed versus open businesses. Currently in the list view, as you close or when you mark a business as closed or moved out, it still shows up in the view. We obviously don't want to lose that data, but it would be nice to kind of remove them from your view. And so some of those search or view options, we'll call them, for businesses are in the works. They're not there yet, but it is on the build list, something that we're working on to be able to filter out, active versus closed or others. And we're also looking at some other options for that as well. So we will keep everybody updated as we move forward on that, but appreciate that feedback. And I'm going to come back because Christy has a question to all. How do you report hours? This is Christy's question. Their downtown is just starting up in Maestro, and not everyone is excited to be online. So her plan was to just have our executive director and committee chairs be the ones reporting the hours on Maestro, but would be curious to hear what others are doing. So essentially what Christy's asking is, how are you guys or gals, your organizations, how are you entering hours? Obviously, if Travis goes in and marks a task as complete, and I put the hours in, that's going to log to mine. There are ways through those bulk hour edits that we can add hours to other people. We can always do the quick adds as well. Some of your organizations are not worried about hours, more staff driven. So I'll throw that out to the group and ask you guys to respond in the chat window. How are you coordinating your hours? How are you tracking those? Are you just kind of doing it as you go? When you get done, you go into the quick add and add their hours? Are you putting it in under the bulk editing? Are you relying on your volunteers to do it? Or are you not tracking them at all? And it sounds like Lisa's question is very similar, and she's doing the bulk add, which again, if you're new to Maestro, under the tools section, you can log in and there's a add volunteer hours, and you can track or add multiple hours to multiple people at that point to kind of get a bunch of information into the system. Holly says, and I don't know if you guys can read all these and if I'm just being repetitive, and if so, I apologize, but she said if they've got a committee meeting or something, she just goes in and does the quick add volunteer hours, which is another way to do it. If you've just got one or two people, it's pretty easy to go to their profile, click on that add volunteer hours and get those in there. Those bulk hours work really well, especially for things like your festivals and those bigger events, even I would say board meetings and things like that. When you've got the same hours that are going to go to 12 different people, it's really easy to go to that screen and put those hours in rather than putting them in one by one. You can also kind of backdate those a little bit. So if your board meeting is held on the 1st and you don't get around to adding those hours until, we'll chuckle and say the 2nd or 3rd, but realistically the 7th or 8th, if you go in, you can still add those hours kind of post-dated, and so it'll get on the right quarter, and that way, especially for things that fall at that end of the month, it kind of helps your tracking that way. Track hours by work plan. That, hours by work plan you can track, I believe there's a report, and again, this is why I'm not good at on the spot, but certainly if you've got a work plan where you created an involvement, you can always add, especially through the bulk add, you can add hours to that involvement and track them that way really, really easily. And I know a number of communities have done that, where they just have Blues in a District or Farmers Market, and they track their hours to that involvement. And it's really easy to pull that report through the advanced search as well. And Christy said thank you for all the feedback. And so did Lisa. So again, any questions, anything outside of Maestro, anything pressing, big philosophical downtown issues we can tackle today for you? Judy had one in between. Oh, good catch. Can we link the contacts with other calendar programs? Not yet on the build list. We have talked about looking at like Outlook and Google specifically. Don't ask me for a date because I couldn't even begin to give you one, but I know it's on the build list. It's been in numerous discussions. There's a lot of different things, and if anybody's paid attention to the news with all of the security things that are going on, not just with this GDPR, which is a big security thing, but obviously Facebook and some of those others pulling back, it's forced all of these companies to kind of restructure and look at their APIs, and that's how the softwares talk to each other. And so we're kind of making sure that everything's good, and it's staying on the build list, but as far as timelines, not certain on what that's going to look like quite yet. Any other questions, comments, concerns, wish lists? Ooh, good question. I like it when we get outside of Maestro here. Anybody with hanging baskets, and what type of vehicle do you use to water them? I will tell you, in our community, which is Quincy, Illinois, we only have a few hanging baskets, and they're all around our civic center, and they actually get out with a ladder and fill those up, and it's kind of funny to watch, but certainly doesn't look like the most effective way to do it. Yeah, 144, I definitely wouldn't. So anybody with an answer to the hanging basket question? Hey, there we go. Ooh. That sounds interesting. So Judy said that they've got a special attachment for the water tank that sits on the back of the Gator or golf cart, which would seem to be a lot better than a ladder with 144 of them. And Jeslyn here says, gifted a truck. Wow, that's great. That's fantastic. She even has volunteers that go through and water for an hour every morning, which is terrific. I know ours are luckily, I guess, all close to the ground, and we've got some different programs that come around and take care of those, especially in the summer when it gets really hot. I do want to back up. Judy had a question here about adding or updating or adding contacts and reloading. Will the doubles be deleted? Yes and no. If the email is what's changed, which is what she has kind of indicated, it will create a separate contact. If the email is the same, it's just going to update that new information. If there's no email, it's going to create a separate contact. Email in Maestro is that unique identifier. And the reason for that is many communities, in fact, I don't know that we've got a single community that doesn't have at least two people by the same name. And so when you've got 3 Mike Smiths or 4 Sue Joneses, you need to be able to identify those separately, and that's where the email comes in. So as long as the email is the same, all that information will be updated. What I would do is, if I've got a bunch of them, I would go in and use the old email address and then go in and just change email addresses. And that way you're only changing one field in a profile versus, you know, if you've got new addresses and new businesses or new this, that, phone numbers, it makes it easier to update that one field manually rather than all of them. But again, email is the unique identifier, and especially on import, will make things the same. Multiple emails for the same person or merge to. No, we do not have a field for multiple emails other than notes. I would say most of our people have put those secondary emails into the notes section. We also do not have a merge, but if you've got a bunch that needed to be merged, talk to us, see what our data specialist can help you do. We're certainly not wanting to create a bunch of manual labor for everybody, and so between our crack developers and our data specialists, we can usually help you out. While we're doing that, Lisa said thank you to everybody for the info on the baskets. So again, we want to be cognizant and appreciative of everybody's time. So I do want to ask, Lisa, you are quite welcome, thanking us for some help. You guys make me laugh. I appreciate this. But again, as we are working towards this next town hall, we want to know what topics are important to you. So I know Lisa threw out parking. Are there other downtown or even small, nonprofit organization topics that are important, whether it's legal issues or filing 501c3s or anything like that? I mean, you guys tell us what's important to you, and we can certainly utilize that to schedule this next one. If you don't have anything off the top of your head, again, we're going to be sending out a survey, and I would encourage you to fill that out and tell us what you'd like to see in that next one as well. With that, again, we want to thank everybody. Our phone number is on the screen here. We really are available whenever we can. So please just let us know how we can help you. Let us know what you'd like to hear about going forward. And again, please share the good news, I guess, about Maestro, but really just tell people about the software. If it's done something for you, help a colleague out, send them our way. Like I said, we'll definitely make sure we help you as much as possible. Thank you, Lisa. That's very flattering. Very appreciative of that. With that, we'll kind of hang around if anybody's got questions. I know the last time we did one of these, people have had some very specific, unique to their community questions with their data, and so we're happy to stick around. But again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. We'll make sure we get a recording out to everybody probably early next week, and we'll keep working to make Maestro as great as it can be for you guys. So thank you very much.